Well, the Crown and defense say the man charged with killing a woman by lighting her on fire on a TTC bus 2 years ago should be found not criminally responsible. Tenzin Norbu pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder at the start of his trial yesterday. He admitted to setting the 28-year-old victim on fire aboard a bus at Kipling Station back in June of 2022. However, in a joint submission, both sides say Norbu has schizophrenia and was not capable of fully understanding his actions because of a pre-existing psychotic state. A forensic psychiatrist testified Norbu had been experiencing hallucinations for a decade prior to the killing. The judge is expected to issue her decision today. Well, criminal defense lawyer Joseph Neuberger joins us live with an in-depth look at this case. Joseph, when it comes to, I guess, acknowledging that someone is NCR, what has to go into this? Does the defense need to prove years of consultations with experts and psychiatrists? What's the criteria?
So normally the accused would have a very detailed forensic assessment. It's usually a team combination of a forensic psychiatrist as well as a psychologist. Social workers are involved. There's a detailed history reviewed of the individual, especially with contacts with the mental health system, where they were exhibiting symptoms of a mental illness. And so it would be a very extensive process to do an assessment. Based upon that assessment by a forensic expert, they would indicate whether this individual at the time of the offense was operating under a delusional disorder brought on by schizophrenia or another type of a major mental illness, and whether it robbed them of the ability to appreciate the nature of their acts or whether it was morally wrong. So it's an extensive, detailed process. And in a case like this, the Crown would have been involved. It probably would have been a court-ordered assessment at somewhere like the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. So it's a significant undertaking to do this type of assessment.
How do you think this particular case is going to play out?
I'm fairly certain it will result in a not criminally responsible finding. The judge they're in front of is extremely experienced. She has lots of experience with mental health cases in the criminal context, and the Crown is joining in this particular instance. So it's something where the judge will review the report carefully and the facts, and I expect the determination will be an NCR finding.
I'm sure many people can appreciate and have compassion for someone who's dealing with a mental health crisis, someone who's been dealing with long-term schizophrenia. But at the same time, when it comes to the family of the victim, these particular cases doesn't really provide much closure or much help for them when their loved one has been essentially killed as a result of someone who was not mentally sane. What's your take on that?
Well, the tragic death of any family member, loved one, a friend, is never going to result in any form of satisfaction at the end of the day, even if somebody is convicted criminally and go to jail. I mean, it's a life that cannot be replaced, and it's a loss which will go on forever. So in an instance where somebody is found not criminally responsible, the sort of messaging and understanding has to be that in order to convict somebody, there has to be both a mental intent and a physical act. In this case, the mental intent wasn't there because somebody was harboring under a delusion that caused them to act in a way. So they were not acting as somebody who was in a rational state. An individual who's found not criminally responsible will wind up in a secure setting, usually a medium to maximum secure setting where they'll undergo therapy and treatment, and may very well be in that secure setting for a very, very long time. And that's for the protection of the public. So it's very challenging for a family to accept this, but hopefully with the assistance of the Crown and other support people, they can understand it. And it should hopefully bring some closure as there is an understanding as to why this horrific act took place. And there are steps taken to protect the public and to deal with this individual.
Criminal defense lawyer Joseph Neuberger, we appreciate your time and perspective. Thank you.